Central Park is a convergence style map and you either love it or completely hate it, with super narrow choke points, interesting flank routes, and even a teleport. And today I'm going to be going over everything you need to know for both attacking and defending on this map. And do me a quick favor, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to reach 100,000 subscribers before September. But regardless, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, statistically speaking, the first point of a convergence map is one of the hardest points to take in Marvel Rivals. And yes, I did compile all the stats. And one of the top competitors was actually Central Park, mainly due to the fact that the first point has a rather narrow choke point. A lot of people are still not aware that there's two alternative routes you can take to get to the first point. Now, before I show you the alternative routes or how to push to the choke, let me just show you. Again, you can get around this side as Groot by placing your shift wall or your thorn lash wall here, and placing another wall here, jumping across, then jumping again. This allows you to flank around easily. You can do this same maneuver with Hawkeye and many of the other characters that have some type of extended jump ability. Now let's actually talk about pushing through the choke, as it's one of the hardest things to push through. You essentially have two different chokes that you have to go through. The first one is this first bridge archway, and then the second one is the second bridge. By using these two walls for cover, this allows you to move up to the chokehold without taking a ton of extra poke damage, allowing you to push up. Now once you actually push them to that secondary posture, what I would recommend doing is destroying this bridge, or actually destroying both bridges. It opens up that choke point just a little bit more, so you're not super confined. You have some breathing room to go up if so desired. Now, when you do destroy this bridge, it not only helps yourself as an attacker, but it also hurts the defender. The defender can no longer run across this bridge, allowing to get easy picks or easy damage onto your teammates, which still a lot of people don't do in this game, is destroying these objects or destroying the environment. Now, this next area no one ever talks about, and that's reconstructing the spiral staircase. No one actually ever does it, and it gives you 3 incredible ways to get to the point or to have some type of advantage. Now, the first thing is you have some cover when you have that staircase unlocked. Now, not only does it give you that cover, but it gives you 3 different routes you can take to kind of get to the point. The first one is you have these short stairs through this back hallway that literally takes you to the side of the point. Then if you have some type of wall running character, or wall jumping or double jump, you can easily go through the hole in the wall. Then of course you have the staircase in general. So again, you have the back hall to the side of the point that gives you super easy access, and you can shoot onto the back of the enemy. Then if you had a Black Panther, a Psylocke, or a Hawkeye, or anyone that can wall run or double jump, you could easily get into a flanking position by going through the hole in the ground. And you also have that health pack. If you take control of that health pack, you can self-sustain while being behind them. Then of course you can actually just go up the spiral staircase. Again, I have no idea why no one talks about this point. It allows you to be up at that bridge position that we destroyed, and we can continue on, and we see the hole in the ground, and it puts us at that same flanking position, and we can even go up this little ramp. From there we have the height and the flank. Now, going back to the spiral staircase, there's actually one more place we can go, and that's if you go all the way up, you can see we have this hole in the wall, and as you can see, it's there to look at the point, and it's looking more towards the back of the point than the front of the point. And when you think about it, this spot was definitely made for the attacking side, because why would a spot be looking at the back of the point? Why would you as a defender want to be up here instead of poking at the enemies in the front, at the choke, or just watching the sides? At least that's my conclusion. This spot gives amazing line of sight to deal with those pesky strategists in the back, or just dealing damage where enemies won't expect it from. But with all of that knowledge, let's say we're still stuck sitting at the choke point. How do we actually take the choke, and how do we take space? By either getting some type of early pick onto the enemy, or literally having your tanks just push through the choke, you can easily take the point. What I've noticed from playing this game and watching a ton of matches is that a lot of players just sit at this choke. They don't really push at all. Sometimes as a Vanguard, you have to understand not to be afraid. I mean, of course, it's easier said than done, but moving past that, once we take that little bit of space in the choke, we can easily just dive onto the enemy. The best strategy I've found is just overwhelming the enemy, and that's literally after your tanks take space and push the enemy vanguards back a little bit. That's when you want to just overwhelm the enemy, holding that W key. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be working 100% of the time, but from the majority of the games I've seen and played on this map, that's usually how it goes. Pressuring the enemy vanguards results in them losing space. When the vanguards lose that space, the duelists have less room to operate in, resulting in them not really being able to dive into your backline. And with all of that pressure on both the duelists and vanguards, it also in turn puts pressure on the strategists because they can't really work around or maneuver. It's kind of like a snowball or domino effect. But you do have to remember, if you were sitting in that choke for a while, the enemy strategists more than likely have their ultimates, because that's just typically how a stalemate fight goes in this game. And of course, after one elimination, you have to think about a Doctor Strange portaling in, so wiping the enemies as fast as possible is going to be the best option. And again,
easier said than done. But in theory, that's how you can take the first point. And again, I highly encourage you to exploit that spiral staircase room. No one ever uses it, no one ever talks about it. I don't care what you've seen on YouTube or anything like that. I haven't seen any videos or people actually talking about this specific area. And trust me, the second I started using this spiral staircase room, I started winning a lot more of my matches on Central Park. Sorry to interrupt your video. If I could just take 1 minute of your time and talk about today's sponsor, Control.
And I'm excited to share that this video is sponsored by Control, a delicious protein-packed snack or just a tasty way to fuel your day. Control has you covered. And personally, I'm all about their peanut butter pieces cookies. Seriously, they taste amazing and they fit perfectly into my daily routine. Whether it's a quick shake in the morning or a protein-packed snack in the afternoon, Control's products are both macro-friendly and ridiculously tasty. And now they've got 2 new must-try products. First off is their Monster Cookie, a soft-baked protein cookie loaded with white and milk chocolate chips plus crushed cookie pieces, and it tastes ridiculously amazing. And if you're more of a protein shake friend, they have a Paradise Potion Shake. It's a refreshing mix of sweet coconut and tart pineapple blended into and it's honestly fantastic. Now, Control's snacks and shakes are designed to fuel active lifestyles, whether you're hitting the gym, gaming for hours, or just need a convenient, nutritious option. If you're looking for your next go-to protein shake, check out Control's website using the link in description or scan the QR code on screen. And don't forget, use code DUCK at checkout to save 10% on order. But anyways, back to the video.
Now let's talk about defending the first point and what makes it so difficult for the attackers to actually push. It's difficult for attackers to push for a couple of reasons. First, your defending strategists can set up in super advantageous spots. These spots allow them to maximize their healing and pretty much never get dived or end up getting eliminated. So getting started, you could have a Loki sitting in this back area, positioned high, positioned low. You just have this entire back area to work with that can usually go uncontested. Following that, you notice we have the spiral staircase location, and when it's not reconstructed, it acts as an amazing defensive spot or location. It gives you a ton of line of sight onto the attacking team, and we know maintaining height is a very crucial aspect of this game. So maintaining control of the spiral staircase building is a must, at least in my books. Now that you got a decent idea where strategists should be sitting, about here, up top, to the side, and so on, let's talk about the rest of the positioning. Well, first and foremost, you're going to have your vanguards in front because this is where they should be holding. Now, you could have an off-tank, a flanker, maybe a Bucky or Winter Soldier sitting up top on this bridge to go for an early pick, a hook, whatever you want to call it. From there, maintaining this position is very crucial as it provides you a lot of line of sight. Although it does seem like a small line of sight, you do have the ability to control that health pack on that side. From there, you also have to worry about people flanking around, so always be mindful that this flank is an option for attackers to take. From there, it's mainly just going to be your vanguards in the front, your duelists in the middle, with your strategists behind. Something to keep in mind is that not all duelists should be sitting on the point. You could have duelists to the side, you could have a duelist up top like a Hela or a Black Widow or a Hawkeye, any character with a ton of range. Sometimes sitting on top of the bridge is a good option, but it is sometimes a rather risky play because it is a ease of access for the attackers to attack you, so this is something to be super mindful of.
With that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about attacking the second point of Central Park. Now, from what I've noticed, and probably what you noticed as well, attacking this second point has a couple different scenarios. One of the first scenarios is that if you wipe the enemy super fast on the first point and you manage to cap it rather quickly, the enemies will be holding a rather aggressive defensive posture, mainly to the fact that they were able to regroup, minimize their staggers, and set up properly. And the other scenario is that they were staggered quite heavily, resulting in you being able to push the cart relatively far before they're actually completely regrouped. So let's talk about that first scenario when they're completely regrouped, holding up close. Now let's say they're holding up close. Well, most of the time they're going to be holding this bridge, a super strategic point, and they're going to be holding up top here in the ruined castle tower or the ruined church, whatever you want to call it, as it provides an amazing line of sight onto the spawn over there, the health pack to see if anyone's trying to go and heal themselves, and easy picks below. You could also use this as a flank route to get behind the enemy, so just maintaining control of this church or tower is a very important thing to do, especially if you're playing a Hela or a Namora. You can easily go around and flank this to try to get the picks on enemies as we are attacking. Of course, there are some back alleys you can go through directly out of spawn. Come here to the right side, you can easily maneuver around, go up the back, and then boom, you're at the back area where the cap is. Typically your strategists are going to be lingering around here, maybe on this bridge or down below. You can use this as a flanking path to get rid of them. If there's a rocket on the other team, most of the time rockets are going to be putting their respawn beacons back here by the health packs
it's in a safer location and it's still within that 50-meter range so they can get the respawn. Or they could place it up here if they so desire. Now taking the second point is extremely difficult, like the first point, because of how compact some of the chokes are. But I will say, once you get past this bridge area, it becomes a little bit easier. Now this allows you to have 3 different avenues. You have this main avenue, you have the side avenue, then you have the left avenue, kind of like Midtown in a way. You can go on the right, flank around, go as a Hela again, or in a more. You have really good lines of sight until the enemy spawns. You have cover to hide in. Again, you can easily flank around. Then if you decide to go around on the left side, there is always going to be a pathway behind to easily flank around as well, just like so. But again, most of the time, enemy vanguards will be holding here or a little bit closer. You're going to have your duelists, again, mid, like the first point. Strategist in the back, typically the strategist will be sitting up top, or a Hela is going to be sitting up here on the defending side. So trying to go Hela as well on the attacking side, you can try to contest it by going to this building. This gives you some pretty good line of sight to where the Hela may or may not be standing. You could also, if you so desired, go on this roof. You can only stay on this side of the roof, you can't go to the very top. That's just how it is. And if you're playing Rocket, you can put your respawn beacon over here as well, if you don't want to place it anywhere else. Now, whether they're holding up close or they're staggered, as a Doctor Strange, you can portal off this entrance and this entrance as well, so it's a little bit harder for the defenders to come back. But if the defenders are smart, they can easily just exit through the top, yet no one ever does that. Now that we got a good understanding of how to attack when they're holding up close, what about when they're staggered or a little bit far back? Well, most of the time, the vanguards are going to be about here. You can have your duelists here, maybe the duelists up there if they want to be ambitious, and your strategists in the far back. Now, with that being said, a majority of your time, your vanguards on the attacking side are going to be pressuring that front line. While they're pushing that front line and the duelists up top on the bridge or on the side, this is when a duelist that can flank a Namor, a Hela, is very crucial to you. A majority of the time, you're going to be wanting to use these flanking rounds as the Hela, as the Namor, to get the jump on the strategist, so it's a lot easier to push through these 2 central chokes. Because again, once you manage to wipe the enemy, it's essentially a free cap if you have a Doctor Strange on your team, because you can portal both doorways, like I said previously. It's just super easy to do. And that's really it for attacking on the second point. It's more like a snowball effect rather than anything else. So let's talk about defending on the flip side. So let's say we're defending and we're holding up close. A majority of the time, I'm going to be wanting to play a Hela, a Namor at this position. Mainly for the fact that you have an incredible, again, line of sight onto the spawn. You can look through here, see control of that health pack. There's another health pack in there, and there's a health pack there, so 3 strategic spots you know. You could be looking out of the corner of your eye using these third-person peeks to see if he goes for the health pack, to see if they use that flanking route there to get behind your team. And you can also come to this side, use a little bit of the third person to look to the left as well, so you have pretty good coverage while staying covered at the front, not knowing that the enemy is right behind this wall. Something to be mindful of, well, is sometimes a Hela could go up top here. That's something to be aware of, but you can still kind of use the third person to peek and see who's there. Now again, typically what I always recommend, whether it be for attacking or defending, is remove these bridges. It just allows for a lot more line of sight. Now it helps both sides realistically. It makes the choke easier to push through, but it also helps you defend easier because you have some more wiggle room. One strategic spot, of course, here is this health pack rune for defending. Although it can be a bad spot, per se, if you get a Groot on the enemy team, you can wall you in and you have to go through the back alley, then you would have to wrap around, which exposes you to more dangers because of the flankers. Now, if we are defending, again, we can destroy this bridge. All of this, if you're playing a Hela, easily see what's going on. Now when you are defending, here's some spots to be aware of. As we all know, like I said on the attacking side, there's this flanking route that the attackers can take. Well, as a defender, you can also take this route to flank the attackers. It's something that you can easily do. Namor, Hela, Black Panther, Psylocke, all great characters to do this as. And you could also do the flanking route through the graveyard as well, just like the attacker can. There's a lot of mirrors you can do on this map that help both attacking and defending, so that's why it's kind of mixed into one. Then of course, if you have these 2 entrances blocked off by a Doctor Strange, you can go up here, go up the broken statue, and you can get out if you are Doctor Strange portaled off. That's the third and only other ace that there is, unfortunately, so you're all going to be going through a super small choke if you do have that portal off. Extremely difficult for attacking is how compact this one area is. And then on top of that, you have to worry about this high ground edge, and when you finally make it to these stairs, you have to worry about getting pushed off by a character like Invisible Woman or any other character with some type of boop like Spider-Man, anything like that. But let's say we managed to get through this choke finally, and we made it to the stairs. Again, a super extremely hard choke. Most of the time, your enemies are just going to be sitting here. All of your enemies. Vanguards, duelists, strategists, all sitting here. Maybe your strategists are a little bit farther back for defense. Relatively, everyone's here. There isn't a ton you can do. While you can go through the right, go behind them, try to go for a flanking play, make that miracle play. Or you can go up through the left, go around, and go for another flank as well. This is one of the hardest points to push, in my opinion, in the entire game. Mainly for the fact how compact it is. You can keep getting pushed off. It's this miserable. So again, the quickest way to push them is to wipe them as fast as possible. Because the second you wipe them, they have an extremely long time to get back to the point before you cap it because of how far away the spawns are for the defenders. So if you can manage that, it's a little easier. Of course, everything is easier said than done in this game, but realistically, that's all the information I can really give you on attacking this point. You can, once you manage to push them back, go through the sides, flank around, go through those stairs, go through the other stairs, control that health pack, and it will be a little bit easier. It's just the hardest part is getting through the stair choke, which, again, easier said than done. Quick wipe will usually do it, and you can eventually, if you can reconstruct this archway, it gives you a little bit better line of sight onto the enemy. But yeah. Now, defending the third point is a lot easier than attacking it, mainly due to the fact that there's only two spots you have to hold at this beginning stage. That is this room on the left side, and this other room on the right side. One entrance, one entrance. That's all you have to worry about, really. Now, the enemy, if wanted to, they could come up top and go through the top area and go all the way around. Like, no enemies will be getting in. That, of course, they can break the walls, get some good line of sights onto you, so it's something to be aware of. And if the enemy are smart, they will go above you, go around, and then they can flank around, go up top, get behind you if you are holding just these two rooms. Now, let's say you lose the hold on these two rooms. Where do you go from here? Well, now you're holding this area right here. The only things you have to be worrying about is if enemies go ahead and flank around, going up the stairs, coming back and behind. They can do the same thing on the left side as well, or the right side, depending on how you look at it. By going through that doorway, through the stairs located there, going around here, and then they're behind and they have a relatively good angle onto you all. And then going around here. Now, typically, you're going to be wanting to play your vanguards a little bit further up front. So here or here. Having your duelists kind of here or pushed up on top or up here. Mainly due to the fact that this is a push-off spot, so I wouldn't play anybody here. Although you can play here if you like the risk, but I just don't think it's worth it if there's a Spider-Man or Invisible Woman that somehow manages to sneak around and goes for a pull. Then it's kind of unlucky, so I tend to have my tanks here and playing away from this area. Now, putting a Hela in this spot is a very good idea, mainly for the fact you have a line of sight there. You have that main area and you can see below, and you can kind of see if players are going through that top area. You have control of this side if they try to flank around, because you can destroy this and look down, which gives you amazing line of sight if enemies are trying to flank that no one doesn't know about. You can also destroy this. Again, another amazing line of sight to see. Basically, defending this point here is war of attrition. It's all about resource management, timing your ultimates, using your abilities to the best of your ability, no pun intended. It's basically how long can you stall at this one single point, mainly due to the fact that everything is reliant on the ultimates, and eventually the enemy will push if you run out of said ultimates or abilities or anything like that. Again, the best thing I can do is hopefully you can outclass your enemy by managing your ultimates properly. If you can, then you can easily defend this. And if you can do that, then it's really easy to defend this point. So despite this being a map guide, resource management is going to be your best friend when holding this point. That's really all I can say about the third point, is this resource management, knowing your flank routes, and knowing some strategic positions you can stand in. Then when the points here, again, this is a very easy choke to hold. 2 vanguards or duelists kind of setting back your strategies here. And if you start getting eliminated one by one, you can keep coming back and contesting the point over and over and over again until overtime. And maybe by some miracle, you push the enemy off and you manage the full hold. But again, eventually, if you run out of resources, the enemy is going to push. Again, that's just the nature of the game. But anyways, hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form, or maybe you found it just a little bit entertaining. And if you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It greatly helps me out. Again, I have these map guides releasing every single Saturday. And if you want these done in a different editing style, or you want some different type of information, let me know in the comments down below. But regardless, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.